Here we are, the final in my series of sunset photos that I took in June of 2019 at Milford Lake, Kansas. I've titled this Sunset Cove, which is a title I've actually borrowed from a resort my family used to vacation at in northern Minnesota, and the resort was called Sunset Cove. But it seemed kind of appropriate here, given that it's kind of this cove of trees and there's a sunset. So thank you to the original Sunset Cove Resort for giving me the title for this photo here. I think I'm not going to say this is the best of the three. I like all the three sunset photos that I posted, but I think I learned the most with this one, or this one shows evidence of learning the most. I did the same kind of process on this that I did with the others. I went out at night with my camera. I kind of knew what settings to use based on the previous couple nights. I knew more how to use my cable release for my camera that I bought. And this time I paid a little more attention to composition. You can see I've got the tower with those three bright lights. I've intentionally set my camera in such a way so that that tower would be right within that little opening in the trees. And then the tree sticking out of the water a little bit left of that tower. That's an intentional choice. I didn't Photoshop that. I put my camera in a position so that tree would be there and not touching any of the other elements in the frame. And these were intentional compositional choices. And I tried to do that on this shot. I tried to pay more attention to all of these compositional elements, as well as the fact that I needed a long exposure and the sunset and where do I place the horizon and all that. And I think the photo is better as a result. I forgot to use my ND filter though, and if I had used it, I could have gotten out of here sooner. I waited until the sun was really low on the horizon, like 9:45, and this is in Kansas, and I don't know what time actual sunset was, probably like 9 o'clock, but I waited until it was really dark to be taking some of these photos because I wanted a really long exposure. But I could have just used the ND filter and shaved 10 minutes off of my evening. I could have gotten this done earlier. But regardless of that, what I really liked on this photo that I kind of learned from the others was manual focusing and focus peaking. And that was something I didn't really pay attention to as much on the others. And they're focused fine. I shot at f/16. You have a really wide depth of field when you shoot at f/16, shooting landscapes. And honestly, like maybe f/11 would have gotten me a little sharper photo because the extreme apertures, the extreme wide and extreme small apertures in your camera aren't going to be the sharpest. But this is perfectly sharp. What really helped here was using the focus peaking option on my Fuji X100F, which allows you to see little red dots around whatever's in focus if you have it in manual focus. And that was really useful on this photo. I could make sure that the leaves and the trees were perfectly sharp before I opened the shutter. And I really like that there's no wind at all. And that gave a sharpness and a crispness to this photo that was not there in my other two photos. And you can't control that. It might have been storming, it might have been windy. There's any number of conditions that could have happened this night, but somehow I got these conditions where there was no boats going across the lake for waves. There was no wind and rain and anything like that. It was just a nice, still evening, and I got to take a really cool-looking long exposure. Interestingly, if you go to the blog, I linked to a picture that I posted, I think in 2012 or 2013, of this exact same scene, or very close to it, and there's almost no water. The water's way down. This is when Milford Lake, this shot here is when Milford Lake was historically flooded, and the water was like 30 feet higher than normal. And it was just surreal to see all these trees submerged in water where water is not normally way down the beach compared to what you're seeing here. So it was an interesting moment in time to be able to capture in a long exposure.